In this episode of Ruffells Ad Break, brought to you by our season sponsors, Contented AI and Pegasus Bay Wine, we're joined by Becky Turnbull, FMCG brand manager, Iron Woman competitor, and the glass half full energy source behind Angel Bay at Ansco Foods. We dive into Becky's career journey, from early jobs in local mechanics and bakeries to managing global logistics to leading brand strategy in the meat export world. It's an open, easy, say yes to staying curious episode. Buckle up, because here we go.
Ruffells Ad Break.
Becky Turnbull, thank you very much for being here. I could explain who you are and what you do and all the rest of it. But you can do it better. So well, I don't know. Who am I talking to? How do you see yourself? How do you position yourself?
Wow. I mean, I am a brand manager for an FMCG product, working for Ansco Foods, which is one of New Zealand's biggest exporters of meat. Do a little bit of Ironman on the side, 70.3. And yeah, just loving it.
And you're a mum, and you're
yes, I am a mum.
And you're a, you know, like
Tell me about the children.
Yeah. There's more to it.
There is more to it. Yeah. So, I'm a wife and a sister. And yeah, I've got 2 little kids.
It's a busy time.
It is a busy time.
How do you juggle that when the demands of life are so busy on us? How do you do it?
I mean, it's pretty 50-50 with me and my husband Andrew, which is nice. You know, we share a lot of, you know, the tasks for especially raising the kids and like pickups and drop-offs and stuff like that. And I'm lucky enough to have a very flexible working environment, so that is appreciative of the fact that, you know, things crop up, especially with kids. So that helps. Things
crop up.
They do.
You're a veteran. That was very diplomatic. Things crop up. Hey, so that's great. How did you get here? What was the road to getting here? You know, are you an only child? Are you from the south or the north? Tell me a little bit about what life was like growing up, and don't just say normal.
Normal. What is normal? So, I mean, I was born in Wellington, but I spent most of my childhood in the South Island and moved around a wee bit. I think I've lived in something like 30-something houses in my time. So, yeah, we shuffled around a wee bit, but mostly in the top of the south.
Yep.
My extended family is from Nelson, and I have a brother who's younger than me. And I guess in terms of getting to where I am, I've had I didn't go to uni and do a marketing degree because I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was younger. I kind of floated. I finished school, didn't do 7th form, finished at 6th form, and then just went into the workforce in sort of like office jobs and then I kind of stumbled.
Sort of admin and stuff? Or?
Yeah, admin, just office admin.
Yeah.
My first job out of school was working for a mechanic.
Yeah.
So just doing like invoicing and super fun stuff, like organising all of their little things in the sheds.
Is this like pre-MYOB, pre-zero? Are you still doing it on paper and that sort of stuff, like spreadsheets?
It was real old school.
Yeah.
Printing out invoices and that kind of stuff.
So how do you, is that a challenge when you're jumping out of school, 6th form, and you go into a totally different world? Or
I think it was definitely a learning curve. And I was like, I had obviously a manager above me who was the office lady. And so she was very particular about the way things are done. So I, had to, fall under her and do what she required.
At a time in the world where you did as you were told, you didn't question it. There was no mobile phone to distract you. There was it was get it done.
It was, yeah.
Keep your head down.
Yep. So that was fun.
And so what sort of size mechanic are you talking about? And is it
was super local. Like I was in Kaikoura, so it wasn't massive. It was,
sort of dealing with everything from agricultural through to
well, they were marine predominantly, so they did a lot of marine outboards and stuff like that, as well as the cars. So it was a bit of a mixture.
16.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't learn a lot about the cars because I did not go out into that area of the workshop, so I couldn't. Yeah.
Okay, and so that if that's where you started, did you have any jobs before that? Any sort of like?
I had all your usual stuff like dish pig and doing the paper round and working in the supermarket, working in the local bakery, waitressing, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah. So classic Kiwi upbringing for that period of time.
Yeah.
we were just talking about that the other day. It's really hard. I've got a 13-year-old daughter who is desperate to get work, but just won't get a look in anywhere because it's too risky these days. So it's sort of 15 sort of seems to be the age that you can maybe start getting, some work.
Well, yeah, because we used to do the paper round when I was like, it would have been like 12 or 13, absolutely doing that.
Yep. I was cleaning a factory when I was 13.
Oh.
That was a fun time.
Oh, I bet it was.
Earning my $3 an hour.
I know, I was going to say, my first like proper job was $5.50 an hour. That was,
Yeah. And then at that point, what are you learning? You're learning processes. You're learning how to work with people. You're learning how to keep people happy.
Being in the workforce, I guess, because it was quite a change from being at school. A lot of my friends were still in school because I finished a year earlier than they did. So it was quite a different experience. They were, finishing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I was still working till 5. So it was a bit different. But yeah, just like learning life in the real world.
And then do you see that as an advantage when you look back on it? Was that a good thing, or when your friends were still sort of having it easy?
Yeah.
You were doing the hard yards. Did you feel like a fish out of water, or was that
not so much? I mean, I did live in a little small town, so we were all pretty tight. Didn't make huge difference to me. But no, I didn't notice.
And how then did that contribute to you being where you are? What was the next step?
The next step, I actually went and worked for a local, they were local at the time, Postie Plus, so I worked in the head office in Christchurch, and similar stuff, just started out in the office, delivering the mail of all things, and then just worked my way up, actually got into logistics, so I did a lot of the import documentation and things like that for them, went off to Auckland for a wee stint.
What sort of size was that? You're rattling through this stuff, but I kind of want to dig in a little bit. What sort of sizes when you're dealing with because you I don't know if you're either particularly extraordinary and exceptional individual, which is obvious, but you've just gone from working in a little mechanics in a small town to international logistics, and you haven't really made too much of a big deal of that. So
no, I mean, I guess I kind of just have fallen into things, and I like I'm very organised and process driven, so I guess I did a lot of extra things, or I went above what I was required to do in particular jobs and started helping out some of the other areas of the business. Like I did a little bit of work in the accounts department, and I did a little bit of work in the buyers team and things like that. And I just kind of stumbled into doing some of the logistics works because people weren't there to do it and I had extra time. And then as time developed, I just took on more and more and more, and I just changed roles. Which has happened to me in a couple of the places that I've worked, where I've just sort of worked my way up or into different things.
Where else have you done that?
So I did that when I worked at Lincoln University. So I started there as their marketing coordinator, having no marketing experience at all.
But how did you get that job then?
Actually, no, I didn't. I started as the PA to the marketing director.
Okay.
Yeah, so that goes back to like the office sort of admin kind of stuff. PAing was absolutely not my jam. So just did not find my calling with that, but managed, because I was in the marketing team, I've always been sort of like creative. So I loved that and being in that environment, and just sort of, again, started to do extra things and help the rest of the marketing team out. I started off sort of buying merchandise and branding stuff, and that kind of got me into that marketing coordinator role.
Yep. And so was that what was the first piece of creative work that do you remember the first thing?
Oh, I don't know specifically what it was, but it would have been doing the merchandise. That was pens. Pens. Caps. It would have been
Fridge magnets.
like caps, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that was the first thing that I sort of took on board to manage for Lincoln.
And were you going to external suppliers for that, or did you have an internal?
Yeah, external suppliers. Yep, absolutely. So it's developing those relationships outside of the business, which was cool.
Yep. And then so you've come from mechanics to international logistics for a clothing company to a university. Yeah. And then you've had another couple of spots since then, haven't you?
So most of my marketing experience has been at university. So I managed to work my way up at Lincoln and left there as the brand and events manager. Yep. And so I went to Vic Uni and did international recruitment, marketing. So that was another experience, just focusing on the international recruitment side of things. I was lucky enough to escape just before COVID, so I was pretty pleased about that one.
And now you're in FMCG.
And now I'm in FMCG.
Yeah, and frozen goods. Hey,
Yep.
so what are the commonalities there? Because it's really broad. And is it? I suspect that I know the answer, and it's more about attitude and putting your hand up. But you must have a knack for recognizing what needs doing and being able to help out. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess I do love to get stuff done. Like I love to, help and achieve things and see results and I guess like coming from a non-traditional background into marketing, I have learned over the years and I've done subsequent courses and things like that to just really hone in my skills around that marketing. And a lot of it was common sense, but some of the courses that I've done, like Mark Ritson's mini MBAs, they've really helped cement what I already knew. And that just gives you the extra sort of courage, I guess, to back yourself in what you know. So I think a lot of the fundamentals across the board have been very similar.
Yep. And sometimes it's just as you say, I mean, every industry is full of jargon, right?
Yes.
And sometimes there are people who kind of use that jargon to not belittle, but like they sort of use it as a tool to show that they know more than you, even though actually you're working in the same game and you're shifting units or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny old thing depending on what you're doing. But hey, what's the worst job you've ever had? The very worst job or worst project or
I don't really know. I don't think there's anything that's been really hideous. Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to think about some stuff and I honestly can't think of anything that was like horrendous. I guess there would have been stuff along the way that was pretty shit at the time, but I obviously learned something from and don't think negatively of it now. But
is that because you're glass half full?
Yeah,
kind of person?
absolutely. I'm a glass half full person. So.
Where does that come from? Is that mum and dad? Is that
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I was probably from my mum, to be fair. She's always been like super positive and yeah. And I've always been like that. I've always been there's always something good, or I can always see the good side of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. No more comments on that. Okay. So when you first started in marketing, so you went from, obviously you're at Lincoln, you're the PA to the marketing director. Mm-hmm. You're part of that team, so you get to know what's going on. Was it that you saw an opening come up and you put your hand up, or did somebody give you a push and say you should apply for this, or what?
Yeah, it was kind of the marketing coordinator left, and so I put my hand up to go into that role. And then moving up the line, the director of marketing left, and then the marketing manager took her place, and so I kind of just stepped into those roles.
Yeah.
So I developed a really good relationship with the new director of marketing, who then subsequently employed me at Victoria University as well after she left Lincoln.
Yeah. So how much of that is because you think about universities being bureaucratically heavy, right?
Yeah.
So that sounds like it wasn't that difficult to do. Is that because?
I guess, well, I mean, it was, I still had to go through all the usual processes around applying and interviews and stuff like that. And so the decision wasn't entirely hers to employ me in the new role, but it helped that she knew who I was and what I'd done.
Yep. And do you think, I'm not being rude here, but sometimes you have to have kind of blind faith that it's going to work out.
Yep. Absolutely.
Do you think that's part of the personality as well?
Yeah.
Do you think that, and that's been part of the successes?
Yeah.
And have you ever had any? Because it sounds like it's just been sort of a golden run. Have you had any setbacks or any sort of major moments where you've sort of doubted your decisions?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've definitely had doubts along the way in terms of, I think more in terms of what I'm doing and my own, your own self-confidence. Yeah. Absolutely. I've had doubt in my own abilities.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What sort of things have you
I guess just like being in this, like working with other people and it goes back to the fact that I never went to university as well. That kind of has been something that's played on my mind, working with other people who have done those kinds of things. But I guess as the years have gone by and like nowadays, I don't think about that as often because I do back myself a lot more than what I did previously. And I know what I'm talking about and I know, I've learned a lot.
Yep. Hasn't really held you back, has it?
Not really.
I mean, well.
Not at all. I mean, it was funny that I was working for a university trying to recruit students to go to university, having never been there myself.
Yeah. That must weigh on your mind a little bit. But that's funny. I mean, you've had a pretty fun run at it, and that's, I think, marketing is a pretty it can be fun.
It can be fun.
You've got to balance the fun with a balance sheet, and
absolutely.
You've got to be responsible for that. You've got to report back to it. You've got KPIs. You've got to meet them, or at least justify why you didn't. You've had some pretty. You've been in the driver's seat throughout a pandemic, which nobody anticipated was going to happen.
Yeah.
There was this little thing down here called an earthquake. We've had a recession.
Yep.
I mean,
challenging.
There are some challenges, right? And so, especially if you every now and again have had moments of imposter syndrome, that must sort of double down sometimes.
Absolutely.
But then your positive outlook, maybe
that helps.
Maybe balance that. Well, what about that though? What about things outside of your control? Because there's, you're in supermarket, and you're, when the world locks down, and all of the rules change, including logistics, yes, there are essential workers and stuff, but things change. Yeah. Then what's the response to that? What do you immediately sort of think, shit, what am I going to do? Or do you, is it about bringing support around you, or how do you manage that sort of stuff?
From a work perspective?
Yeah, those sort of changes, yeah.
Yeah,
because you can't just market the same thing if your market's changed.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? No, I mean, it was challenging, definitely. And I guess from our perspective, and I think we would possibly do things slightly differently in hindsight now, but we just pulled back really and didn't do a heck of a lot because it was all so unknown, what was going to happen, who knew. We were incredibly lucky as a business. All of our workers in the plants and things were all essential workers, so they all had to go. There was lots of things that they had to do at plant to be able to manage that, and they did that extremely well. From an Angel Bay perspective, we were incredibly lucky that our sales increased hugely over that period of time because people couldn't go out and get their favourite takeaways and things like that, and so our product was the perfect solution for that. So in that, we were super lucky.
Yeah,
and we just rode the wave, I guess.
Yeah, and so that was okay. We had some good processes in place, but there was also an element of luck. Yeah, that meant that maybe some businesses in a similar sort of category were not so lucky. Or maybe they were. I don't know. And so you managed to keep all the staff.
Yeah,
and obviously that means that sentiment internally is high.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing. We had a very supportive working environment at that time, and there was a lot of respect and trust in the staff to be able to work from home and get what they needed to get done, whilst also managing being at home 24/7 with your family, and that was incredibly difficult as well.
How old were your kids at that stage? Do you reckon?
How many years ago was it now?
Small.
Small.
Yeah, small.
Under 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was super lucky. The first time we had lockdown, I had an au pair living at home with us, so we loved it.
What a life.
I know, it was glorious. Second time was hell.
Without the au pair.
Yeah.
Just mum and dad. Oh, must be tough. Must be tough doing it yourself.
I was on the same playing field as everyone else, and it fucking sucked.
Yeah. I bet. What is it that you want to get out of the work that you do? And has it changed over the years?
I I don't know, like I love what I do, and I think it's just awesome to see stuff come to life.
Yep.
And I love to have that creative element to it, and to see something or an idea or a concept go from just a tiny little nugget over here to something really massive and out there, and for people to see it and to notice it and engage with it, and it means something to them.
Yep.
That's what I love about it.
Do you get a little kick when you overhear somebody talking about a product?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, whenever I go to the supermarket, I always like hang out a little bit longer when I walk past Angel Bay in the freezer. I'm just waiting for the people to like grab some out of there. I'm like, yes. Or listening to what they say about it.
It's a great product, isn't it?
I've absolutely done that before. You should buy those ones.
Yeah.
So
and does it get diluted over time, or is it just the same?
Not really.
When you see something go to
it's
market?
super cool. Like, and when people, post feedback or send feedback in, it's always, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so nice to hear that you're actually providing somebody with something that makes a difference in their life. Like it's a tiny thing. It's a tiny portion of their day, but, it helps.
It's something that you did, which is great.
Helped get it in front of them.
Yeah. What about, especially over the last few years, there's been a huge proliferation in channels to market.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can either do everything or you can do bits and pieces.
Yeah.
How do you decide how do you qualify what works?
Yeah.
Because everybody's metrics are different. How do you qualify what works, and how do you choose what the next thing's going to be, knowing that in years' time or 2 years' time, there's going to be a totally different approach? Yeah. How do you do that?
It's absolutely challenging. I mean, we work very closely with our media agency, and they are definitely, I lean heavily on them in terms of like new trends, what's coming up. We monitor all of our campaigns like with a microscope. We've got small budgets, so we have to be really creative with the way that we spend it, and think sort of outside the box often. A lot of the times we're starting to, use a portion of our budget for sort of what I say traditional sort of media, not necessarily traditional like TV and things like that, but, the digital side of things, and then have a portion of it to do something different or new, to test and learn, to try something else, because that's really important rather than just jumping straight into something new, is just to give it a wee try first and see how it goes. Can
you give us an example? What's your favourite?
Well, we've went on to TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely not my game, but I stay well clear of it. But, we needed to be there, and I think that there was a decision that took us a while to get to because of, we were just nervous to get into that space because it is so content hungry. And
we've got to maintain it.
You've got to maintain it. And so, we've launched TikTok this year, and we've just partnered up. We've just done a collab with a couple of guys out of Wellington to create 10 episodes for us on content.
I think they might be guests on this season.
Oh, really?
Potentially.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wonderful boys.
Yes.
So they've been creating content for us for our channel, and it's just blown my mind how crazy it has gone. Like the amount of views that we've got is insane, and even organically, because we put them out live, for the first 48 hours organic, and that's just been massive.
Yep.
I've watched the content.
How much of that is TikTok? How much of that is the influencer? I mean, how do you...
it's a mixture. I mean, they're not specifically tagged in our content, so it's not... so it just sits on our platforms for people to see, and then we boost it. But I think it's definitely a mixture.
But then how do you see? Even that's a question. What are you best to do? Do we sit separate as a brand, or do we attach ourselves to an influencer? Or I mean, there's so many questions around all of the channels,
and so many options too.
And even from say pre-COVID to now, even though that sort of tiny window, 3 or 4 years, is just.
The landscape's changed massively.
Massively. So you've got no war stories because you've had a golden run. There's been nothing which has been challenging.
No, of course not.
What do you think about, I know you've done some bits and pieces overseas. I know you've done bits and pieces and really, I think, quite diverse industries.
Mm-hmm.
Has that all just been learning and a good time, or I know you said you've got a positive mindset, and I know that.
Yeah.
But it's a bit squeaky clean, and I want some dirt. Do you have any?
God, I don't know. Probably. Yeah.
Have you? I mean, for example, no, I won't. I won't go there. I suppose it's like anything, right? So the teams that you work with, you've got to have, good trust and all the rest of it. That it will, if it doesn't work out then and there, it will eventually.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I was thinking, how do you make sure that the vision that you have as the owner of a brand, how do you then translate that to the people who have to produce the work to put, which is then client facing? How do you manage that part, the human part?
Well, I guess, I think at the moment I'm going through this exact process in terms of planning for next year and what it is that we want to get out of it. I create a very detailed brief now with very clear expectations in terms of what those outcomes are. And I think that that's really important, that it's all down and it is there, but then also having a conversation about it too, because you can also read something on the paper differently to how it's intended.
Yep.
So it's a bit of a mixture really, and it's just a lot of back and forth, very open to discussions around stuff like that, just to make sure that I'm getting my point across in terms of what I want, but also listening and hearing observations from our partners as well, because I trust them. They all drink the Kool-Aid just as much as I do. And so, it's important for me to have a really tight team across the board in terms of all of our agencies, and sometimes that's a real struggle to have because sometimes, media and creative don't necessarily play nicely.
Yeah.
And it sucks because we're all part of the same team.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, we've had that, totally had that.
Yeah.
And I get it. I'm just long in the tooth. I know that it's kind of sucks for a minute and then you just get the fuck over it. But
I think everyone was like that.
Well, you've got to be. I mean, like if you want to be happy, and I tell my kids if they're getting really upset with people for silly reasons, I say to them, it's like taking poison and hoping somebody else dies. It's like just why hang on to it? You've got to put it to bed. But how do you resolve those issues? Because I think it's actually a really important conversation, which possibly doesn't happen sometimes, which is if the more people there are, as you say, like there's a brief and it can be interpreted one way or another.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you have those conversations in a way where if it does go slightly one way and then somebody else is out, or how do you pull it back, or do you?
It is a real struggle,
it's
and
tricky.
I think and everyone is also trying to get a little piece of the pie too. And I mean, for us, we've only got, like I say, limited budgets and things, and so I'm pretty open and honest about what is going into these briefs and how much money I've got to spend, and really clear around those boundaries, because one, I don't want to get ideas back that are way out of scope. Whilst they might be amazing, there's no way we can achieve those. Yeah. But I don't want people to fight over that budget, because I want a collective team. I want everybody to share their ideas. I want us all to be on the same page. And sometimes that is a real struggle.
It's so good. We've just recently been asked to pitch for some work, and the first thing I said after we were briefed in was, "What's the budget?"
Yeah.
And the answer was, "Well, can you propose a fee?" And it's like,
don't you hate that?
Do you want? Because it's like,
give me a ring fence, roughly.
Give me an idea, because I'm gonna. What you've asked for is BBC drama.
Yeah.
Period drama, and then I'm going to find out you've got a like a tiny little, just give me an idea of expectation. So it's great. I think do you think that's a Kiwi thing? Do you think we're, because have you worked in environments before where it's just, you had to get pictures and you had to get quotes without giving away what the budget was? And does it work?
Yeah, it doesn't work. It absolutely doesn't work, because at the end, and like you could have a pitch that was amazing, but you're never going to be able to do it because of the money that it costs. And of course it's amazing because it costs 3 times what your budget's going to be.
Yeah. But
who wins out of that? No one.
Oh, I love that. It's so good. New Zealand, get on board. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, so how's it changed? So both the work and you personally, I mean, there are some things which have changed personally. There are things which have changed probably with your idea around what you want from the work. What's changed since when you started and now?
I feel like now I just feel personally and from a work perspective much more confident in what I do. I have got a lot more tools at my disposal now in terms of the business and the way that we manage our brands, and we're very much focused on sort of the research side of things, which is not something that I had done a lot of in the past, and it really helps inform and helps me make better decisions with what I'm going to do with my money from a budget perspective. And so that's been super exciting, and that, it just helps absolutely with everything that we do. Personally, I've taken on the Ironman 70.3 challenge.
What is that? That's really, because 70.3 miles, you were saying. That's not kilometers. That's nuts.
Yeah.
It's really nuts.
It's a little bit crazy.
Did you see yourself?
Absolutely not. No way.
Because it's marathons plus, it's like,
crazy.
It's nuts. Over what period of time do you do a 70.3 mile event?
Yeah, it's a day.
It's not a day.
It's one. Yeah.
That's not.
Bang, bang, bang. One after the other.
What are you doing?
I know.
Ridiculous.
Ansco took on sponsorship of it 2 years ago now, and the first time that we did it, we had a wee crew of people that went up and did it, and I honestly said to them, I was like, why the fuck would you exercise for 7 hours? Like, that is insane.
Yeah. Play a game of netball.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was like, you guys are crazy. And that's the half. So the full was double those distances. But then last year, I don't know, I just got super inspired by the team. It was pretty awesome I wasn't there watching them, but I watched them on the day, like on the app and everything. And I just got really inspired. And I was like, I needed a challenge. Like, and I know it's a bit crazy to go from zero, like literally zero, to doing a half Ironman. But we did it. So I did my first one this year. And
were you happy?
Caught the bug.
Were you happy? Did you get, was it?
I was ecstatic to finish and cross the finish line. I had an average swim, which was fine. The lake was really rough. So I was just getting pommeled in the face by waves and people everywhere. It was crazy. I had a really shitty bike ride. My nutrition was terrible, which didn't help. So I was exhausted. And I finally got off the bike and I was like, I don't care if I have to walk this 21K, I'm going to finish. But people in Taupo were amazing and the atmosphere was just incredible. So I ran/walked the 21K and crossed the finish line. I was fucking stoked.
Yeah, I bet you were.
Yeah.
I love it how you said average swim, shitty bike ride. Yeah. The fact that you did it, I think, cancels out the average and shitty. Average to you or to your expectations.
Yeah.
But you and your positive attitude again,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
So, hey, also, how do you think that has helped with the work? Is it just you're more tenacious, or has it always been there? It's just inspired you to do more. What is the? Yeah,
I mean, I guess it's awesome to see like Ansco, how much Ansco's put behind it and how much they support it and support the team. So the rest of there's a few staff that are doing it this year, and the investment that they put into it is really cool, and it's nice to see I feel much more connected to the business, and there's that whole retention piece in there as well, which is great. So yeah, it's nice. I definitely feel more connected.
Yeah. And are you quietly sort of in the cafeteria going, so you're going to join the team? Are you recruiting?
Well, we have been, yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a few people. We've actually got a crew of about, I think we've got 15 or so that'll be up there in Taupo in March doing it all in our kits. Yep. So it'll be cool to see everyone out on the course.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Becky, if you had a crystal ball, what would it tell you about the next 3 to 5 years? What's ahead for you?
I honestly don't know. I love to plan at work, but I just don't really plan a lot in my personal life at all.
Yeah.
That's generally my husband. He likes to pick some random stuff that we're going to do, like move to Wellington or whatever. So who knows? He might have some ideas. But But yeah, I don't really have any plans
Yeah.
other than just smashing it.
And that's a podcast.
Done.
That's it. Okay, so we're
Scripted.
going to smash it. That's great, as I would expect nothing less.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for coming along and having a chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Ad Break team. For more on how we work or how we can help your business do better, get in touch at ruffles.co.nz. See you on the next one.